We have two wonderful trainers today that are going to talk about the new USANA Foods line. Our first trainer is the Executive Director of Health and Science Education, Dr. Brian Dixon. Yay! You probably saw him this morning. He works very closely with the field development groups globally as we do things, new launches, and all of our product training. And him and his team work very hard to make sure that you have all the accurate information you need as you're out there training and prospecting with all of the USANA products. Our second trainer, incredible in her own right, is a USANA Diamond. She is a $1 Million Club member. She has served on the IDC twice. She just finished up her second term. And in 2012, she was nominated for the Dr. Wentz Vision Award. And this morning, she found out she was nominated once again for the Dr. Wentz Vision Award for 2015. She's from Australia, physician, coach, author, and just all-around great person. Dr. Karen Wolf will be here as well. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Dr. Brian Dixon to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everyone doing? Amazing, I hope. What do you think of these? Well, not me, but those, yeah? Pretty cool. Have you tried them? What's your favorite bar? Coconut, dark chocolate? Anyone like peanut butter? Awesome. Would you like to learn a little bit more? Maybe we'll give you a little rationale about what went into the design of the products. We'll give you some facts so that you can hopefully talk about these new foods line a little bit more easily, because we realized we only changed everything, right? So it seems complicated, but I promise you it's very easy. And I think the goal of Karen and myself is to arm you with just some simple information, bullet points that you can take away. You can talk to other people about these foods. Two things I'd like you to take away from my portion of the presentation are these. It really is as easy as 1, 2, 3. So I know it seems like there's a lot of moving parts, but if you can remember that 1, 2, 3, it should be simple and easy, right? Yeah. Can everyone count to 3? Even the New Zealanders? Perfect. How about this? Sorry, there's an inside joke. Should I say it? Sweet as? Sorry, that's A-S, not A-S. And then smart. These foods really are smart, and we're going to tell you why they are so smart. So, can you help me out here? Easy as 2, 3. Because we wanted to take personalization to the next level, right? We wanted to deliver on our promise to be the world leader in personalized nutrition. So if you think of that easy as 1, 2, 3, it's really more of a food system. And I'll show you that it really is very, very easy. So SMART, right? Well, SMART is an acronym, and you're going to see it across the foods line that actually stands for some things, right? So if you can remember this, SMART, simple and pure ingredients, macronutrient focused, balanced, healthy, fats, research validated, and then totally personalizable, if that's really a word. So my foods, why don't we start talking about them? But before we get into the detail of the foods, why don't we kind of set the stage and give you a little insight into our mindset and why we actually decided to change the foods. So there's some health challenges going on in the United States and around the world. Eating healthy is becoming increasingly more difficult and more difficult and more difficult. And here's just a few reasons. There's a lot of reasons for it, but just a few of them here. There's so much noise out in the nutritional industry, right? There's so much noise. What happens when you type some keyword into your favorite search engine related to nutrition? You get all this contradictory information, right? From a website that you've probably never heard of or seen before, from some health expert who's a doctor in who knows what. So there's all this misinformation that's out there. Then there's so much of it that where do you actually turn to find the best advice? It's noisy. The contradictions, it's so confusing, right? Where do you go? And what this tends to lead people to do is become paralyzed. And so when people become paralyzed with information, and especially misinformation, they do nothing, right? So there are more food choices currently on the face of the planet than there have ever been before. There are more calories on the planet than there have ever been before. So listen to this statistic. More people will die from overnutrition than undernutrition in 2015. Isn't that crazy? From eating too much, being overweight and obese is going to kill more people than malnutrition. That's just crazy to me. Absolutely mind-blowing. Now, what is the root of this paralysis? Well, it's all these controversies, and I've just listed a few of them up here, but GMOs, should you eat those or not? Artificial sweeteners, should I eat organic or not? I've even heard food controversies on kale and carrots, right? Very healthy foods, but I saw that kale is going to make you gluten intolerant. I mean, are you kidding me? So, dark chocolate, should we eat that or not? And what about red wine? Should you drink red wine or not? I won't tell you my vote. But I'm going to play a little soundbite right here that kind of illustrates this confusion that's out there in the nutritional industry.
Now, kale's momentary fall from grace is just the latest link in a perpetual feedback loop of specious health and diet stories proclaiming that a favored foodstuff, red wine for instance, will either kill you,
wine or any alcohol increases the risk of breast cancer,
or save you,
Ladies, drink your red wine. It could prevent breast cancer.
or kill you.
I probably told you hundreds of times that red wine is good for your heart. But recent news is raising questions.
Or save you.
It'll help you with good cholesterol. It lowers blood pressure, lowers stress, and just has many, many health benefits.
Right? And that's what we're bombarded with in the media literally every single day. But here are the facts, okay? We are eating fewer fruits and vegetables. Fact. Another fact, our caloric intake has increased, and we're eating now on average over 500 calories more every single day. That can have an impact of somewhere between 25 to 50 pounds of weight gain in a year. That's coming mostly from refined grains, flour, white rice, etc. Right? So these simple carbohydrates that are high glycemic and they're having a very negative health consequence. Look, almost all of those calories are coming from snacking. The snacking industry has hit us hard with the potato chips and the pretzels and the candy. We're also exercising less. Right? It's probably a result of our modern societies, right? We just jump in our cars and we go to work instead of walking to work or riding our bike. We're moving less. So what's the result? If you're eating more and exercising less, what can you only expect to happen? You're going to gain weight. You're absolutely going to gain weight. So we are becoming increasingly more and more obese. Did you know this? That being overweight is worse for your health than smoking and drinking combined. What? Smoking and drinking combined, being overweight, is worse for your health. Right? So think about that. If you really want to positively affect somebody's health outcome, we need to get people down and maintain a healthy weight. So what was USANA's solution? So we were thinking about all this, thinking about the confusion, thinking about the snacking that's going on, the increase in calories, the imbalance of macronutrition, especially from those refined grains and sugars. Well, we think the MySmart Foods line is a great solution to all the noise and the bad health decisions that we are making. So the foods, you gonna help me again, are what? Easy as 1, 2, 3. It's that personalized food system, and they really are very smart. Smart. Thanks. So, SMART. I want to talk about this SMART acronym, but I'm going to couch it in the context of the shake bases, okay? So what makes these foods so smart? So let's start here. And what I also want to do is kind of educate through a label and also maybe learn if you're not that familiar with how you should actually read a food label. So let's start with S, simple and pure ingredients. So here we go. Can you see the ingredient deck down there on the bottom? And maybe you can't read the words, but you don't have to. Can you just see how small it is? Has anyone come up to you and said, no, I can't eat that, or I can't eat that because I'm eating clean? I mean, I'm not 100% sure what eating clean means, but simple and pure, and what my interpretation of eating clean is, I want to use bread as an example. So bread should only contain flour, water, yeast, and salt. Some people like to put a little bit of sugar, maybe honey in their bread to sweeten it up a little bit. So bread should only have 4 or 5 ingredients. That would be a clean label. You can go to the grocery store, take a loaf of bread off of the shelf, turn it over, and can you just see by the sheer size of that ingredient deck, you know that there's a lot more than 4 or 5 ingredients in there. So it has to be full of preservatives and additives and fillers to give it that shelf life. Clean label, dirty label. Well, look, on the shake bases, there's only 13 total ingredients in each one of these shake spaces. Each ingredient was deliberately chosen because of a scientific health benefit that they are going to have. I think that's pretty cool. That macronutrient focus or balance. So we mentioned how we're eating more refined grains, more sugars. So the main focus of this food line is to bring the balance back to our overall diet. Now, you're going to hear the conversation shifting just a little bit from USANA, and I think if you heard Doug Braun's presentation earlier today, you heard him say the word micro and macronutrition quite a bit. So I know these are maybe a little bit new concepts to you all, but I promise you it's very easy. Micro just means small, and it tends to be that nutrition that we need in gram or less quantities. So we tend to think of them in milligram or microgram quantities. And then macronutrition tends to be the food that we eat, the proteins, the carbohydrates, the grams of fiber, right? The grams of fat, etc. So micro means small, macro means large. It's simple. And if you want a really easy way to remember it, I have a hard time with horizontal and vertical, right? But if you want an easy way to remember micro and macro, what does Dr. Wentz look through? A microscope, because he's looking at really small things, right? And if you can remember one, you can remember the other one. So we hope in the future, this is going to roll out an easier conversation to have, because we're going to start thinking of our foods line as the macronutrition line, and we're going to think about our nutritionals line as the micronutrient line. And why are we doing that? Why are we kind of making this shift in how we're talking about nutrition? Here's why. When you actually look at how the cell works in the biochemistry, the job of the vitamins and minerals is to conduct the biochemistry that makes the cell go. The vitamins and minerals are taking a lot of those macronutrients and putting them together and making all that essential stuff that the cell needs. But for my simple brain, I like to think of the cell as an assembly line. So what do you think the cars would represent in this analogy? The macronutrients. What do you think the workers represent in this analogy? The micronutrients. So what happens to that assembly line if the cars stop coming down the line? The workers are just going to stand there, right, and have nothing to do. But what happens if we pull the workers or those micronutrients off of that assembly line? Do the cars get made? No, it stops just as quickly as if cars stop coming down the line. So that's exactly how the cell is working, and those micro and macronutrients have to work in a perfect synergy for optimal cellular health. So does that make sense to everybody, I hope? And that's why we've deliberately decided to change up the conversation and talk about our foods line as having that macronutrient focus. So let's keep going through these labels. Now, what's the first thing you should look at when you look at a label? What's the first thing you guys look at when you look at the labels? Protein, calories. I would say the first thing you should look at on a label is the serving size. Because, right, you can make those numbers look funny on the right there, depending on the serving size. So the first thing I recommend people do is look at the serving size. So here, it's 2 scoops. What was the previous serving size on the Nutri-Mill? Does anyone remember? 3, right? So now we're only recommending 2 scoops a day of these new food shake bases. What's the second thing I think you should look at? I heard it earlier. Well, I like calories, and I kind of like, I guess, working my way down the nutrition facts panel. Okay, so I like to look at calories. So what's in there? Well, you can see there's only 150 calories. The next thing I like to look at are the carbohydrates. I want to know, where are those carbs coming from and what are they made up of? So you can see on the label 12 total grams of carbohydrates and then 8 total grams of dietary fiber. Does anybody see a mistake on the label or something that looks funny? Well, 0 sugars. But what does 4 plus 3 equal? 7. Why does that say 8? Anybody know why that might be? It's a rounding error. Wow, it's very smart. It's exactly what it is. It's a rounding error. So you can see those numbers are expressed in whole numbers, but really the insoluble fiber could be something like 3.3, so we round down. The insoluble fiber could be something like 4.3, but if you add those together, you get 7.6, and then you round up. Okay, so that's why you see the discrepancies on some of these numbers on these labels. Now, let's talk about carbohydrates, right? Carbohydrates are the primary fuel source in our bodies. But I just showed you the data that we're getting plenty of carbohydrates in our diet. So we have purposefully reduced the amount of available carbohydrates that are in these new shake bases. We are making most of those carbohydrates fiber. The health benefits of fiber are literally indisputable, okay? Indisputable. Cardiovascular health, digestive health. They can even act as a probiotic. They can help you feel more full between meals. It can also help you bulk up when you're actually eating your meal, so you'll eat less food. And those are very important qualities for a weight management program. Now, they're purposefully low in those available carbohydrates. Does anyone catch how many available carbohydrates there were? 4. Yeah, exactly. 4 carbohydrates. So just to give it a slight little bit of sweetness in the base, we've added the natural sweetener stevia. Okay? So something else you're going to see on the label. Now, for our friends in New Zealand and Australia, the actual originators of the glycemic index, we know that talking about the actual GI number is very important in your markets, and I'm sure there's people in other markets who have really focused on the glycemic index and what the number was. On these shakes, you're not actually going to see a GI number, but I want to tell you why that is. And if you're not familiar with the glycemic index, let's talk about it really quick. The glycemic index is nothing more than the measure of sugar that you have floating around in your blood. So when you wake up in the morning, your level's going to be basically at its lowest. You wake up, maybe drink your cup of coffee, have breakfast, your level starts to increase. And then at some point, it starts to come back down, you get hungry again, the cycle continues. When you eat high glycemic foods, that sugar jumps up very, very quickly in your bloodstream, and then you get into a danger zone. It's actually toxic to have your blood sugar very, very high, and our bodies know that, so it very quickly dumps a whole bunch of insulin into the bloodstream to force the glucose out of the blood, force that sugar out of the blood, but then you come crashing down just literally as fast as you went up. So that's another danger zone called starvation, and that triggers our bodies to eat. And to get us out of that danger zone as quickly as possible, what do we tend to reach for? Sugar and more other high glycemic foods. And you get on this roller coaster ride of high glycemic eating. So the goal of low glycemic eating is to stay out of those danger zones and have more subtle increases and decreases in your blood sugar. So if the glycemic index is a measure of the sugar in the blood, well, look how much sugar is in the shake, right? 0 added sugars and only 4 grams of available carbohydrates. So it is literally impossible for us to test these foods for a glycemic number, okay? There's just not any sugar in there to be able to test. So to actually submit the test to the certification agency, the subject would have to drink almost a gallon or 3.5 liters of this shake within 10 minutes to be able to test the glycemic index. And you would never be able to get this through the regulatory bodies. So there's your answer why there's no glycemic number on the shakes. It's literally impossible to test, okay? So does that make sense for everybody? It's like steak doesn't have a glycemic index. There's no sugar in steak, right? Speaking of steak, let's go to the protein. So again, 2 scoops, we now have 18 grams of protein in the shake. We've heard you, and we know that you've asked for additional protein in the shakes, and now those 2 scoops are going to deliver 18 grams of protein. But why is protein so important? Well, the main purpose of protein is to help support muscle synthesis, okay? So that's important because we want to build up that mass, but more importantly, maintain the mass that we have for 2 reasons. One is muscle is the primary burner of energy. So the more muscle mass you have around, the more calories you can burn in a day. Now, as we get older, do we tend to lose calcium from our bones? In fact, all of us are going to lose calcium from our bones as we age. Did you also know that as we get older, you also lose lean muscle mass? Just like you lose calcium from your bones, you lose lean muscle. And so we also want to make sure we're supporting our lean muscle mass throughout the course of our life. Protein can also, again, help you feel full when you're eating and then keep you feeling fuller longer between meals. So let's talk about fats for just a little bit. Advanced, healthy fats. But wait a minute, I thought fat was bad. Isn't that what we've kind of been bombarded with in the last few years, right? Don't eat fat, fat-free diets were all the fad. Well, if they pulled fat out of our food, they had to put something else back into it, didn't they? And what do they tend to put back into our food? Sugar, right? Sugar. So that's exactly the problem in these low-fat diets. You're eating too much sugar. But that's coming back to that confusion that's out there, right? We have health experts just 10, 20 years ago telling us not to eat cholesterol. Cholesterol was bad for us. It was going to raise our cholesterol. It was going to increase our chance of having some sort of cardiovascular event. Well, just in the last year or two, now they're saying, you know what, never mind. You can go ahead and eat all the cholesterol you want. We're sorry, egg industry, for telling people not to eat all of that egg yolk. It turns out there's probably a lot of health benefits to actually eating healthy dietary cholesterol, right? Mind-blowing. Well, the same thing now is happening with fats, right? I mean, again, from the scientific journal Time, now they're telling us to eat butter, right? Eat butter. What? Eat butter? Well, this is probably dovetailing back into the French paradox. Is anybody not familiar with the French paradox? Yeah, perfect. No, thank you. So just really briefly, the French paradox. The French are paradoxical for a lot of reasons, but when we're talking about the French paradox when it comes to food, what we're talking about is when you actually analyze their diet, they should be predisposed to having cardiovascular disease, right? They drink a ton of wine. They eat a ton of food that has those creamy sauces. They love their pastries, right? But they're eating whole food, and they're eating food that's high in fat. So initially, scientists were attributing the French paradox to all the red wine consumption. But that research has recently been called into question, and now the main culprit is actually fat. So fat may be what's giving these French people the ability to outlive us despite what we initially or previously perceived as an unhealthy diet. Now, do you guys see the foods up on the screen? Avocados, walnuts, almonds, olive oil. Do we all agree those are healthy foods? Of course, I think everybody in here would agree those are healthy foods. They're high in fat. You would never tell anybody, don't eat avocados, don't eat walnuts, don't eat almonds, right? They're healthy for us. But why do we not assume the same thing for other fats as well and other sources of fat? So when the development of these foods was going on, we were looking far and wide for the best source of a healthy fat. And we fell in love with the properties of coconut oil, right? Coconut oil, another healthy, plant-based fat. So in the new shake bases, you can see there's 6 grams of fat, and then how many grams of saturated fat? 5. Saturated fats, are they good or are they bad? Good. Yeah, good or bad, right? What have we been taught to believe in the past? That they were bad for us, right? Well, let's look a little bit more closely at this. Coconut oil. So it turns out 60 to 70% of coconut oil is actually composed of what's called medium chain triglycerides. Okay, medium chain triglycerides, or MCTs. Now, those MCTs actually have a ton of health benefits. They can actually help you burn more fat. They can help you feel more full when you're eating, and then also in between meals. They can also help with athletic performance. What? And this is just the very short Cliff Notes version of all the health benefits of especially these medium chain triglycerides. The thing is, when you look at the molecular structure of these medium chain triglycerides, it just turns out they fall into the category of being a saturated fat. So by labeling all fat bad, that's been a mistake 1, and then also labeling all saturated fat as bad was mistake number 2. So not all fats are created equal, and there are just tremendous health benefits with the specific forms of fat that are found in coconut oil. And that's exactly why we chose to utilize coconut oil across the new foods line. Research validated. What do we mean by that? Well, we were founded by a scientist, we have a legacy of scientists, and we live and die by science, okay? So like I mentioned earlier, literally every single ingredient in the new foods line was deliberately chosen, and that's because of the research to support those ingredients. We all know the health benefits of fiber, right? We were talking about that earlier. But look at this new guideline that's come out, right? 2015, the US government is lifting the ban on dietary fat. Well, these foods have been in development for a significant period of time, so we're not just jumping on a bandwagon, but USANA, once again, has innovated and is at the forefront of nutritional science. So, health benefits of fiber, the list is literally endless. And even more traditionally mainstream agencies are also changing their recommendations for optimal health. Here's just one example. They are recommending you need to eat less than 100 calories of refined sugar every single day if you're a woman, and less than 150 calories from refined sugar if you're a man, if you want an optimal health outcome. So can you see how we've basically completely flipped again in what's actually considered healthy? Sugar has not done us any favors in our diet, right? And then just the endless research on healthy fats, and especially those healthy fats from coconut oil. And then totally personalized. To help walk us through being totally personalized, I'm going to invite a dear friend up on stage to help educate on why these are so personalizable and how you can incorporate these into your USANA business. And could you also congratulate her on being a 2015 Dr. Wentz Vision Award winner? She comes out. Dr. Karen Wolf.
Thank you. Okay, got to be at the award ceremony tonight. It's going to be fun. So that's where you're going after this, right? Yep. Yes. So what I'm going to do is help you take all this information, which is a lot, right? It's a lot of information, and teach you something that I do with my team, which is called fast facts. So one of the things actually Colette Larson taught me once was to get the product catalog and just learn 2 or 3 facts about each product. You heard of that? So that we cannot be an expert on these. Brian and his team are the expert on the products. but to just know enough to be able to share and get people's interest. So we've prepared for you some fast facts about each of the new food product lines. And remember that what we're teaching here is a lifestyle, it's not a diet. And I really like to emphasize that the healthy lifestyle is made up of many components, and many of you have seen my little wellness wheel here. The nice thing is that if you look at this wellness wheel, USANA has a specific solution for many of these areas. If you look at digestive health and sleep and supplementation and the food line. So today we're focused on the food aspects of a healthy lifestyle. And it's for every age. So it's my vision that kids will be using these amazing products as well. So every age group personalized to everyone's unique nutritional needs. And as Brian has so well taught you, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. And we're going to go through the 1, 2, 3 and give you some fast facts about each one. So let's start with the shake bases. So you know that there's the 3 different shake bases. There's whey, soy, pea, and potato. So what we've prepared for you is some fast facts about the shake bases in general. The first, and very exciting, is they're gluten-free, non-GMO. You like that? Yes. That's a really important story to tell. They have a low glycemic impact, and as Brian so expertly explained to you, we can't assign a glycemic index number to these because the sugar is so low. But we can say a low glycemic impact and no added sugar. 8 grams of fiber for every 2 scoops, and 18 grams of protein for every 2 scoops. And healthy fats from coconut oil. So that's our Smart Shake. Now, Brian's going to share about the flavor optimizers. Step 2.
So yeah, the number 2 of the 1, 2, 3 is the flavor optimizer. So once you choose your shake base, you're going to want to flavor it. And we've heard feedback that as good as the chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla tasted, eventually people want new flavors. So we're launching the line with these 5 flavors: orange cream, chocolate, banana cappuccino, and peach mango. But we're just starting there. Just think how easy now it's going to be for us to develop new flavors that can go into the system. And so I'm sure you can expect these flavors to expand over time. We can do seasonal offerings. We know there are very strong regional differences in flavor preferences. I mean, our Asian friends love all sorts of exotic flavors. What about if you could have a tomato basil flavor? I hear some oohs, or chicken curry, maybe Thai chicken curry. But maybe they're not cold. Maybe you actually heat them up and eat them like a soup, right? So do you see I'm not making any promises, but can you see the versatility in the line, and by utilizing this system, how we can really optimize the flavors that you all are consuming? So can I go to some 5 fast facts for you guys? I think we should also mention that we're going to make these available for them, right? Yeah. So Karen has been so gracious to put this list together, and then she's going to make it all available through you. So go through your respective field development offices, and you'll be able to get these fast facts. We also put together an FAQ working with the Health and Science Information team at USANA. So you'll have an FAQ at your hands, I'll say it that way so I don't blow it. And then we're also going to make the slide deck available for you as well, so you can also train on the foods. So we hope that helps. But the 5 fast facts we want you to take away for the flavor sticks, right? The 5 flavors to choose from, we talked about that already. But at most, you're only going to be adding 5 calories to your shake, right? Because they're sweetened with natural flavors and natural sweeteners. They can be stored at room temperature. And because they can be stored at room temperature and they're in sealed individual packets, it also makes them for those on-the-go lifestyles that I'm sure most of us in this room lead. So for me, I don't know if anyone likes to travel with the current shakes, but for me, they're a lifesaver when I'm on the road, right? And so to be able to take all this with me and now not having to worry about it spilling open in my suitcase is going to be absolutely wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so step number 3. Is the optimizer. We have 2 optimizers, the protein and the fiber. So let's talk about the protein optimizer. Who is excited that we actually have a protein now that you can add to the nutritional? Oh, I thought you would be. 100% whey protein. 10 grams per serving and very low in calories, 50 calories. So here's our fast facts about the protein optimizer. High quality protein allows that personalization of quantity of protein so that people can match it to their unique individual need. And it's easily mixed as part of your MySmart Start system, and no fillers, no additives. Then the other optimizer is the Fiber Plus, Fiber G Plus. So you've all heard of Fiber G. Well, this will be in the new system, Fiber G Plus. And it's 100% fiber, which is a prebiotic. And I've said to each of the breakouts, just because I remember when I was learning about probiotics and prebiotics, I struggled with it for a long time. I didn't know what it was, but it was just a concept that it took me a while to understand. So let me explain to you the difference between a probiotic and a prebiotic, as I understand it. A probiotic, pro means for bacteria. So USANA's probiotic actually has bacteria for the gut, and it's prepared to survive the harsh acidic environment of the stomach. But it's actually those bacteria that we believe are most beneficial for good gut health. That's a probiotic. But a prebiotic is not actually bacteria. A prebiotic feeds the good bacteria, and one of the best prebiotics is fiber. So this Fiber G Plus is a fabulous prebiotic for gut health. And because I love to talk about gut health, and it seems like a lot of the nutritional science now is really zoning in on the health of your gut, since most of your immune system is in your gut, it's so important to really pay attention to digestive health. Here we have Fiber G Plus, which is 100% fiber, and it's got 12 grams per serving, and it's very low in calories. So here are our fast facts, because we really want to educate you about all the different kinds of fiber. Now remember what I said about fiber being a prebiotic. So the more variety of different kinds of fiber, the more beneficial it will be to the gut flora. So in the Fiber G Plus booster, you've got psyllium. I remember a funny story about my mom, who's, by the way, 91. She lives on the Gold Coast in Australia. Do I have any people from Australia here? Oh, yes. She's 91. And for the longest time, I remember her using psyllium husks in her All Bran, you believe. And I thought, I don't know, that's so silly, but of course, now I know. Psyllium is a fabulous source of fiber, and so is flaxseed meal, and so is inulin, cane fiber, and the citrus pectin. So we have these varieties of fiber, and that's a very important story to tell. It's not just like going and getting a regular fiber supplement or product from a store. This is high quality fiber from and a variety of sources. That's a very important story to tell about the Fiber G Plus booster. And so let's talk about one of my personal favorites. Who's tried the bars already? Oh, and which one's your favorite? We have a dark chocolate, we have a peanut butter. That would be coconut cashew. Yeah, I don't know how we win that one. They're all so good.
Show you why these foods are so smart, and why the bars are so smart. And we'll walk through the label again. So I'm going to go back. Serving size. This is how I like to look at it. Serving size is 1 bar, okay? So now you know when you're eating an entire bar, you're going to get 150 calories, very low calorie. You're going to get those healthy fats, again, mostly from organic coconut oil. We have chocolate in some of these, so some of the fat's also going to come from the cocoa butter that's in that dark chocolate. You can see 2.5 to 3 grams of saturated fats. The carbohydrates, again, very, very low, 13, so very low carbohydrate. Look at the sugars. Again, we do have a little bit of sugar in here, but again, no added sugar, because that sugar is coming from the chocolate components that are in the bars. And again, very, very high in fiber to help support your active lifestyle or a weight management program. And then lastly, very, very high in protein, 10 to 11 grams of protein per bar, depending on your flavor preference. So those are the bars, I think, that are just absolutely phenomenal. Here are those 5 fast facts for the bars. So low glycemic impact because of, again, no added sugar, excellent source of fiber, healthy fats, again, from organic coconut oil. That macronutrient balance is there with the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats, and then 10 to 11 grams of protein in the various flavors of the bars. So that's your food line. Isn't that great? So when we look at the entire food line, again, I know we're throwing a lot of information, but you're going to make this, you're going to have this all made available for you. But when we're talking about the entire food line altogether, we think these are the top 10 benefits and features of the food line. So again, gluten-free, non-GMO, high-quality protein, low glycemic impact, no added sugar, healthy fats from coconut oil, no trans fats, an excellent source of fiber, lower calorie than most bars, and again, that macronutrient balance that we're trying to bring back into our diets. So I'm going to have to ask you one more time. These foods are as easy as 1, 2, 3. What was number 1? Shake base. What was number 2? Flavors. And number 3? Those optimizers, those macronutrient optimizers. But then something else I want to point out is we now also have vegan options. Okay? So both the soy and the plant are vegan. And, oh, by the way, we're also keeping Berry Nutty in the lineup. So anybody a fan of the Berry Nutty bar? So there you go. As easy as 1, 2, 3. And have I convinced you that they really are smart? Yeah. All right. I'm going to turn the rest of the time over to Dr. Karen.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Hooray for Brian. Okay. So I did something just came into my head to remind you, and I forgot to remind the other group, is this Thursday after convention, I actually am doing a webinar using this PowerPoint. And to access that, because I'm sure a lot of you have team members, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure, maybe you have team members that are not here at convention. And the way to access that webinar is through Mulhern Unlimited Webinars. You all heard of that? It's a Facebook group. And you just join the Mulhern Unlimited Webinars, and you'll click on the link to the webinar that way. That's actually how you access a lot of the webinars that are offered through just different USANA leaders that as a service to our whole USANA family, we do these webinars. So just to remind you. So what I'm going to do now in the little time that I have left is I'm going to explain to you some ideas on how you can use all of this to grow your business. Would you like that? Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a bit about weight management. And as much as I don't really like that term, what I find as a coach is in this business, I meet people where they are. That's a crucial element of being a coach. It's not pushing anyone, not pulling anyone, but meeting them where they are at. And what I have found is a lot of people are more willing to use some of the food products and the weight management products before they're ready to use the supplements. Would you think that's a fair thing to say? Because they're more concerned with weight issues, and that's an immediacy in their life. So that has been a gateway. I've really used the Reset and the USANA food line as a gateway into the other USANA products, and pretty much grown my business that way. So I'm going to talk about how I exactly do that. The good news is, one of the things that's not going away is the 3-tiered system of our weight management program. So Jumpstart, Transform, and Maintain. That is staying. So I know the Reset Kit is not available right now, but that's only because it's on back order, and it's meant to come back early September. So I love the 5 days. I love the 5 days as a concept because people say they can do anything for 5 days. Have you heard people say that? So getting people in that mindset, especially if they're on the standard American diet or the standard Australian diet, they're both SAD, S-A-D, then getting them into that 5 days is a baby step towards where we want them to be, which is eating all whole foods all the time. So the 5 days is going to stay. And I actually love that concept of getting someone with a baby step like that. And here's some of my fast facts about the 5-day, which will now be called the Smart Start. So reset as a word will be changed to Smart Start. It's lower on overall sugar now, so it's even smarter than the reset. More variety. The same convenient packaging, because don't you love the convenient packaging? It's all just there, it's structured, they can easily follow it. I even have some people that want to do reset again, like they do the 5 days, and then they want to do it again, and they want to buy another kit, even though they don't have to, they could just buy the products, but the kit's so easy, and some people do that. So convenient packaging, structured program, and of course the beneficial macronutrient mix, because the thing about balancing your blood sugar is you do need to have protein with every meal and snack, and healthy carbs and healthy fats, balanced macronutrients, and that's what the 5 days offers. I also have this acronym that I use that I'll share with you. One of the benefits of the 5 days is it stabilizes blood sugar, because a lot of times those carb cravings are because our blood sugar is going like this. And so are our cravings, and so is our mood, and so is our sleep patterns. So by stabilizing blood sugar, it stabilizes our weight and many other benefits. And you learn healthier eating habits because you've got this structured program. And at the same time, you're overcoming old habits. Probably two of the habits I find people most often come to me with is they don't have breakfast. And I say, you've got to have breakfast. You've got to break your fast. And one of my rules in the 5 days is have that first shake within 1 hour of rising. Because once you break the fast and your body knows you're going to feed it, your metabolic engines will get going. If you starve, you hold on to the weight. And even if you're not hungry, just start taking that shake in within 1 hour of rising. And the other one is they just stop eating, thinking that that's the way to release weight, which of course you put on weight because the body goes into starvation mode. And it helps with weight goals. So what I'm going to do is share with you some ideas about how you could use all of this great information that you're learning to grow your business. And a big piece of advice I will give you, and I know as a coach I'm not meant to give advice, I'm meant to listen, but I'm up here, so I get to give you some advice. And that is, do what is true for you. Don't be a cookie cutter of anyone else but you. And I'm going to give you a list of possible ways you can grow your business, and you do what you think resonates best with you. Don't ever think that the way to success in this business is to just be exactly like someone else, because you are unique. So this list that I've got up here is just an example of some things you could do. Mixer parties have become very, very popular. You'll hear a lot more about that in different sessions this convention, where you get to try different products. And by trying it, because trying is believing, you do get people more committed when they actually try the taste, and maybe you do a sensei party, you actually get to experience the products. Then I'm going to talk about my 5-day Smart Start, because that's the way I grow my business. I'm going to tell you all about how to do a group using the 5 days. And educate your associates about these fast facts. I really memorized. I got that product catalog out when I first started, and I memorized different things about each product. And then, of course, I have the scientists, ask the scientists to learn other things about them. But learn about these fast facts so that you can talk to people about the benefits of what we're launching today. And then go into your community and be of service to your community. Go and do some talks. Go to a PTA group or a local children's soccer team and educate about nutrition, because people don't know. And what we're talking about here with healthy fats, as much as maybe it's not new, like that avocado and olive oil and almonds are all good for you, there still is a belief that fats are bad. And there still is a belief, people are still fat phobic. And they think, we're still moving towards these sugar-free, fat-free foods that are just kind of chemicals. So it's new information, so be of service to your community and do some presentations on healthy fats or sugar, or show a movie. So there's 2 movies that if you'd like to just make it easy on yourself, what I found in my community is people will come to a movie even more than they might show up for a presentation. So I did a little experiment, and I found this great movie called Fed Up. Anyone heard of Fed Up, the movie? F-E-D-U-P, 2 words. And I promoted it in a local community center just down from me, and I was shocked. I had like 50 people turn up to this movie. The movie is so well done. Katie Couric narrates it, and it's really educational. And then we had a Q&A afterwards. And of course, I just happened to have a reset group that was starting about 10 days after showing the movie, because then you can actually talk about a possible solution for those that are looking for one. And the second movie is called Genetic Roulette. Anyone heard of that one? Genetic Roulette, which is all about GMOs. Now you see that there's a big focus today on gluten-free, non-GMO. So Genetic Roulette speaks in a pretty scary way of what GMOs, how they've arrived in our food. And again, it does the work for you in terms of education. And then you can do a Q&A afterwards. And I just get people turning up to these movies, different than the people that turn up to presentations. So as an idea, show a movie. But what I'm going to do today is give you the details of how I do these reset groups, 5-day sugar buster groups, I call them. Would you like to know how I do them? Yes. Okay. Because you can do these. It's a matter of just organizing and planning and going through certain steps. And these are the steps. Most people want personalization, and we have the ability to do that now. There are no excuses. The excuses that people might have had before about different ingredients, we don't have those now. So there's no excuses. But if people still have a question about a product, my recommendation to you is be very careful about you being the expert, because you don't have to be the expert. And I tell you, when you don't have to be the expert, it's so freeing. Because we have the experts called scientists at USANA, and we even have a platform on your hub called Ask the Scientist that you can go in and put in your question. And I do that all the time. In fact, I avoid answering scientific questions because I let the scientist answer it for me. And I copy and paste the answer and send it to the person. If the answer's not there, then you can actually write to the scientist. You know that, right? You can put your ID number and the question, and within 48 hours, you'll get an answer. And you really do. I know it's amazing, but we have over 60 scientists in USANA. It's one of the things I'm so proud of, that it's so science-based. And that's what the allergen chart looks like on the Ask the Scientist platform. So it has all the well-known allergens and all the different food products and which one has what in it. And I just send that to people. And then they can decide if this is right for them. Then you have to prepare. So think about if you were to do monthly. And I do these every single month. And I do them on the phone. They're live, and people think live means in person like I am now. But no, I do them all on the phone. Because on the phone allows me to be geographically unlimited. I have people from Australia, Canada, Mexico join me on these calls, as long as we can get the time right, which I know it gets a bit tricky with time zones. But the phone makes it so convenient. Every single month. And I set the date, so my next date is September 21st, and I tell my whole team, okay, this is the next day. So everyone starts their 5 days on Monday, September 21st, and my first call is Sunday night in preparation, then I do one Wednesday, and then I do a call on Friday. And everyone invites to this call. I do it for my team. And I usually pick the date according to what's happening. So it might be a summer slim down, or I always have one straight after Halloween. Now I know in Australia, Halloween's not so big, although maybe it's getting bigger than when I was a kid, we never did Halloween in Australia. But people get all sugar crazy around that time. So that reset group right after Halloween, perfect. And then in the holidays, November, December, people are wanting something to help So there's nothing to stop you right here, right now, looking at your calendar and saying, okay, I'm going to schedule a date. Because that's in preparation, you've got to schedule a date and then invite to that date. And then when someone joins, send them a gift. Send them a sample of a bar, send them some kind of welcome gift. Because what we want to do is provide what I like to say Nordstrom level service. Because when you provide Nordstrom level service to your customers, you have customers for life. When you show them that you really care and that you're giving them personal attention, people are shocked that I actually do these in person, live. But I always want to provide that high level of service. I don't want to be this totally automated. Now, for some people, they do that. That's how they grow their business. That's great. I'm just offering you another way that's very personalized to run these groups. And then you've got to promote it. And of course, you are all masters at promoting. If you have an e-newsletter. So I've started, I think I have about, I don't know how many, 5,000 people on my newsletter list, maybe. But it's really MailChimp, C-H-I-M-P, actually offers a free e-newsletter service up to a certain number of subscribers. So every time you meet somebody, one of the things you can offer them as value is if they would like to be on your newsletter list. And on that newsletter, you provide value, valuable information. You can talk about coconut oil and the benefits of coconut oil. You can talk about saturated fats. I tell you, Dr. Wentz's keynote tomorrow is going to blow you away. He is very passionate about healthy fats. And he's going to talk about some things tomorrow that is going to be different for most people, because USANA likes to be on that really cutting edge of nutrition. So take notes when he speaks. Take notes, because this is information that is different than what most people are hearing. And that's the information you want to share and provide of value. Social networking, I'm sure you're all very good at that. Don't forget to get out and speak. Be available as a speaker at different community events. So lots of ways to promote. Then you've actually got to run the group. So the way I run the group is very simple. I go to freeconferencing.com as a website. You get your own phone number. Did you all know that? Own phone number, free. Years ago, when I first started coaching some 10 years ago, I used to pay for a service, a conferencing service. Now, freeconferencing.com, it's free. And not only is it free, you can record every call, and that's free too. So I have the phone number, and then everyone uses that phone number to call into the calls. So that I do the same phone number every single month, and I record them and send them to participants, and often, if someone can't attend one live, they get the recording. Because the premise of how I'm operating is education and providing value, more value than anyone expected. See, sometimes people think, oh, you're just selling a product. But I'm here to tell you that we are selling so much more than a product. We are selling the message of health. We are selling the message that we do have the opportunity to create health. And you will hear Dr. Wentz talk about that in his keynote. So many of us are talking about disease. Here in USANA, we talk about health and how to create health. And you are all part of that big vision. And you doing these groups allows you to educate and provide that value. And if you go to that Mulhern Unlimited Webinars Facebook group, you'll see all the different webinars on different health topics that will be helpful to you. Then you've got to have a post-reset plan. Now, this is where you take someone from the 5 days to the next level of USANA. Maybe it's the digestion products. Maybe it's Dr. Wentz's Healthy Home book, which, by the way, I think is fabulous. You all need to get a copy of that if you don't have one. The Healthy Home, which shows you how to reduce your overall toxic load, and it's beautifully written in each room of your house. And I know it is in the convention store. And to use the True Health Assessment as a way to have someone go the next step in their lifestyle journey. Invite them to webinars. These webinars that I do for Mulhern Unlimited Webinars are open to everybody. Guests, as well as associates, as well as preferred customers. Know what is available for you to invite people to keep them engaged in this lifestyle message. So I'm very proud one of the beauties, things of being in USANA, as you all so well know, is to be of such great service to people. And there's no greater gift than to witness and have been able to be part of someone's transformation. Nothing better than that. So this is Jen, who's in Illinois, who went through my program and clearly made a huge transformation. And Vic, who is attending the convention here right now, who became a guinea pig. One of my associates who just started about 6 years ago, she asked her husband to do the reset just to be the guinea pig, see if it worked. And of course, he did pretty well. And then he became an associate. And now they work as a team in their USANA business. And that's what I mean by having these Smart Start programs, a conduit, a beginning step to in your USANA journey, seeing it as a gateway to your USANA business. So I'm going to reintroduce Jennifer Wright, back on the stage, who's the manager of the North American Field Development. And if you haven't known Jennifer, she's an amazing lady. 1 year anniversary of being in USANA, and you've probably seen her out there in the field, and so committed to helping us in North America with our businesses. And I'm very grateful to you. I'm so glad that you came in and joined the USANA team, and I will hand it over to Jennifer, and I will see you all in the next few days. Enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you.